Hi, and welcome to the special edition of Keen Minds, where we are chatting with you guys. I am Jen, aka Takata Saiko.
And I'm Tessa. And today we have a very special guest. She was with us in the second round table with Aaron and Troy. Hi, Eve.
Hi, everybody. So it's Evey or Blacklister214, depending on where I'm currently posting on. So very nice to see you guys here on our little Skype chat.
Yes. And so Evey is a theorist and a shipper and a fantastic writer, by the way. Still waiting on the updates for Second Son. I can see you now that I'm saying this now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel like I should pass that on for Carencia, you know?
I want more Katharina and Raymond. I want more Katharina and Raymond. I love them.
Okay, well, there's a question. How do you feel about Caymond? You're the captain of our Caymond ship. How do you feel about that in the wake of the finale?
Okay, well, I've suddenly totally decided that her relationship with Raymond Reddington wasn't nearly as serious. The things that really upset me about Requiem, when she's talking about how the relationship is frivolous with Raymond, I'm like, a frivolous relationship? Really frivolous? So now I've suddenly decided that Raymond Reddington was not the greatest love of her life, that Red, whoever the heck Red is, he's got to be the big love of her life, because otherwise the way that Dom treats him makes absolutely no sense. He is the son-in-law, you know? And if it's not the man she's married to, and it's not the father of her kid, I have no reason other than he's just the love of her life that Dom would treat him like that.
I go a step further. Dom treats him like an in-law. I mean, if you have had an in-law, or if you had seen the relationship between your parents and their in-laws, you know he's an in-law. That's what it is. I don't care what they want to spin things around. I know what I'm seeing. So I don't know, but I think that there's something there.
Yeah. We saw the pepper in the hot sauce. We all knew what that meant. Here, we're making eggs. You get the hot sauce, you get the pepper. You don't have to discuss it. We know what this means. They can't go back on that. I'll be very mad.
We won't let you. We will call it out.
I am pretty much in the same boat as you, Evie. I think that this whole Raymond Reddington is very misleading, because the more you dig there into the mythology and you start going back, it doesn't make any sense. He's been Raymond Reddington for too long, and there's too many people that know him as such. So I'm thinking, I wonder if Raymond Reddington was like Edgar Legat. A name.
I'm missing the reference.
Legat was the one that was the hitman that Red supposedly employed, that it was really just Red, and then he had Tom pose as Legat.
Oh, right.
That was the one where Tom posed as his hitman for him.
I gotcha. Okay.
He was really good at it, too, and looked very hot.
He seemed very at home in that. Definitely in his prime, working out in the field. Oh.
Yeah.
We miss him.
All the fallen looks
I'm
at
not
that.
a shipper, and I miss him.
He's my favorite. I'm always going to miss the man. I mean, to me, he was the most fascinating character on the show.
Yeah. His relationship
So
with
you're still on the boat that Red is Liz's father, no matter what the things say?
No.
Or you think that he's not?
Yeah, I got off that boat. I didn't get off that boat. I was thrown off that boat by John Bottenkamp. Even after, initially with the apostrophe thing, I'm like, well, they could have swapped places, long before. So the blood he was already pretending to be Raymond Reddington when Liz was conceived, and that's what happened. But then I read the interview with John Bottenkamp, and he's all like, no, we told you all along. Raymond Reddington was Raymond Reddington until the fire, and he died in the fire, just like we said, because God knows we never contradict ourselves.
And why on earth are you, an experienced viewer of the Blacklist, paying any attention to an interview by the man who invented Red Speak?
You know what? I didn't trust John's interviews to begin with. After 508, I just stopped, because My biggest beef with him, and Tessa hears me harp about this all the time, everybody that chats with me on Tumblr hears me harp about this, I still go back to, we will respect the family unit while we send Ryan off to redemption. We are not going to hurt Tom. We respect this family unit. Comes back, sets it up just to brutally murder him. That was not respecting the family unit.
But he maintained his word. He came out of redemption fine. You just don't get him.
Well, I go to the interviews because I'm so.
He never said anything after redemption.
He said he'd be welcome back. I don't think he was very welcome back. Sure, you can come back so that we can brutally stab you and shoot you. And even though you've survived that every other time we've done this to you, suddenly you're bleeding out. Oh, well. Yep. You could take 3 gut shots at point-blank range and, crappy care and being on a gross boat where you would have died of infection, a day into it. But, hey, suddenly when you're stabbed in the side...
It wasn't a Damascus knife.
It wasn't?
That's what...
That's the deadly blade that's fatal to all, apparently.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the least it could have done is it was, poisoned or something. I don't know, but they wanted to kill him, so they killed him. And that's what it boils down to.
I don't think he's dead.
Ryan's on New Amsterdam. He's starring in New Amsterdam. We've lost Tom. The moment he came out, and it came out that he was going on New Amsterdam, I went... I'm really happy for Ryan. I am really bummed because there goes my last shred of hope.
Well, see, my hope has always existed. Yeah, my hope has always existed in the idea that they're going to make a new decision, but only in so much as in the final episode they just kind of pull him out and go, voila! Here's Tom. He's not dead.
I will hate it on the writing point because I'm such a big fan of all the threads and tying them together and being. Both of you have seen my plot points. You see how much effort I put into making sure everything ties together correctly. And so, if they do that, I will be so split down the middle because I'll be going, she gets her happy ending! And yet, really crappy writing, but happy ending! And it'll be I finally finished Alias, and so it'll be like Alias all over again. So, by the way, he was alive all the time.
JK. Hey, I was super pleased. That was just me reacting emotionally when I watched Alias.
And sometimes you just gotta.
I quit the show when they came on, and then it came someone told me he came back. I'm like, what? Oh, I should have stuck it out.
Well,
I'm doing a super deep analysis this time, and I'm publishing. I always do it, but this time I'm publishing. And I gotta say, I'm slowly regaining my respect. It's gonna take a while more to get me back to where I was, but some things are very intriguing. You need to not pay attention to the interviews, because I went back and I read interviews from Buckenkamp from season 1. Oh, we're not going to bring Scotty back for season 5. Oh, there it is, Scotty. We are not going to do that. This is going to be a big wrestler story. Oh, wrestler. Who was that? So you can't really pay any attention to what they say. Their job, they say things and then they do whatever.
They are trying to be the PR team, and that's honest. As a writer, I would say never put your writer in charge of public relations, because we know too much. Just stick us in a corner and don't let us talk on social media. So I'll go talk. I was doing it while we were waiting here on Skype before we started recording. I'm just sitting there spilling all of these plot points that I have coming up in my current story to Tessa, and I'm just like, by the way, did you want those spoilers? Oops. And so, everybody that talks to me, if they even poke at me for a spoiler, I'm like, here, let me hand you all of my spoilers.
I have a question for you, Evey. What is your favorite badass Liz moment from season 5? Because she did do pretty good in this whole thing, being bad Liz.
Oh, I don't know. I think my favorite bad Liz moment was the first time she conned Red into getting her involved so she'd go steal the evidence from the evidence lockup. And he's like, you did that and you just played me. And he's like, I'm kind of proud here at this moment. So I was still happy in her sneaky duplicitousness, and that she was kind of starting to push back against Red in a way that was still fun for me. Not, I am going to destroy him.
And what do you think about Jennifer? Did you like having Jennifer back in this particular situation, or was it like jarring for you?
Well, I've been looking forward to Jennifer for so long because I thought she really had answers, but this woman doesn't seem to have the answers that I was really kind of hoping for.
But it is Bart Curlish.
Exactly. I love the actress. I loved her in Dirk Gently. And she's clearly got a bit more of an edge to her that I initially would have guessed when they introduced the character. I'm like, they can't make this. This is supposed to be this huge character. They can't just make her kind of blah and bland. They have to make her like something big. So I'm looking forward to seeing her again in the coming season, where maybe we'll learn a little more about her and see her be a little more, I don't know, edgy. So
yeah, once they put you on a motorcycle jacket, you know you're bad.
She was dressing like Liz, so there we go.
Yep, she was badass. Yep.
So what do you think about the imposter theory? What is your take on it? Did you see it coming? What are your thoughts and theories and opinions about it?
Well, for me, the imposter theory was something that's been something to be seriously considered since the pilot episode. And it's something that I always, entertained as a possibility. But it seemed to me that the more information that we got and the more private conversations we saw, it was impossible. Like I discussed way back at the end of last season as a possibility of who could be in that box. I said Raymond Reddington, but this is why it doesn't work. It doesn't work because Kate says, Kate knows who's in this box, and Kate calls Naomi his wife in that conversation. I don't like the way this is pushing you.
Yes.
Go read a book. We'll find your wife. Okay, that was something that was a kind of a big sticking moment for me. The way he is with Carla, where he's willing to die for her, and he's willing to let his enemy continue to have all of his money. They had that conversation with Berlin about, you could stop me now, this big adversary that he's been fighting for so long. You could stop me now, but you won't because you want your wife back so much. So this payoff really better be pretty darn impressive about that relationship for that to have made any sense. So,
what did you think about Carla? Sorry, I was thinking about Carla being dead all of a sudden. Do you?
Oh no, she knew stuff. They kill off anyone who knows stuff.
Yeah.
And they disappear
Sam,
him like
Tom.
Yeah. Bye. Goodbye. There's Jennifer. She gets to live only because she doesn't know anything.
She's not dead. Come on. Nobody knew where she was. And there it is. Dead of 2 bullets the same year that the bones come out. I think Carla just skidded. Enough. I got enough of the two-timing husband. Either I kill him, but that might be a little troublesome nowadays, or I'll just disappear with 2 bullets. Fake death. Start again.
I would like that. I actually would like that a lot better than her being really dead, because it would make more sense than Jennifer, who Raymond Reddington has been unable to find, who has gone off into hiding outside the Marshall protection, which is the information that we got from season 2. And then Frank, the idiot, who can't even hide that he's is cheating on his wife with phone records. He's able to just suddenly track her down, that he knows where she is. What?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Carla knew where Jennifer was, and Carla told said, in case that I die, Reed, I'm sick of you, and go find my daughter and tell him that I'm dead, so she can go and look at my grave, where we can only see 2017 and not the month. Hate you guys. Not you guys.
They can't even get a toe tag right in the props.
I mean, it's like, all right, so I'm grumbling about props, and now you give me the tombstone, but all I can know is that she died in 2017.
Well, see, the thing is with Tom, I understand the multiple birth years. I totally get that. Nobody knows where he started. Lots of vagueness there. Get that. The death date keeps changing, and so we don't know what this is. This is suddenly happening in a void where time does not mean anything. The TARDIS has taken over. There we go.
I think the prop department it's a problem. I don't think it is the writers. I think the writers got everything planned
That-
to the T.
I would disagree with that at this point, but I do think the prop department has been slacking a little.
Or the communication. It may not be the
Yeah.
department itself, but the communication between the two.
Yeah.
Because you can't have the death certificate has of Tom in Redemption says 1984. Okay, so yeah, as you're saying, that could be explained many ways. But no, I mean, no. I mean, and don't even get me started off other props like the Bones, who saw themselves and unsaw themselves. It's perfect.
Dim bones, dim bones. It's really a ghost. They're just gonna reassemble themselves out of the trash can, flaming, like Ghost Rider.
Like everything is a shapeshifter, so the Bones have to shapeshift.
It's Hudson!
Maybe it is. Yeah. So what do you anticipate for next season? Are you going to be watching with the same diligence or?
I'll probably be watching with the same diligence that I watched with for the back half of this season, which is like, okay, you've killed me emotionally, you've ruined so many things for me, but I still really have to know. I'm not going to miss this big reveal because I've stuck with it this long. So that's too much time on this mystery.
That is exactly where I am. I said I have too many things I'm involved with in the show now. I've gotten too deep into the fandom. There are too many mysteries left. I still have characters that I hope that they'll remember exist, and some that I would prefer them just to leave alone and let them be happy in the corner because I don't trust John with happy couples anymore. I mean, Saram gets together and suddenly she's in a coma. Go figure. But yeah, I'm right there with you. And I'm suddenly eating my words from seasons ago where I was telling people, well, if you don't like it, just leave, and now I'm eating the words because here I am. Angry and bitter and still here. So I apologize, everyone. Not that anybody from there listens to me on this, but apologies.
So, what do you think about Katerina? We have the most mysterious character in the show. Is the one that to me feels like those people trying to describe an elephant and they all they're blind or they have blindfolded and they can't see the whole thing and each one describes something. Because the Katerina for Kate was bizarre, and then every time that we've seen somebody remembering her or talking about her, she seems like a completely different person. At least to me.
Which, I kind of, the impressions that I trust the most are obviously what we saw in Requiem. And then I trust to a certain extent the Katerina that we saw in Cape May. So the Katerina that I believe in, the things that I believe with absolute certainty about Katerina is, number one, obviously she loved Liz more than anything. Number two, she was super compartmentalized with her emotions. Getting through to her was not an easy thing. I kind of always likened her to Tom in that sense, where they talked about people who are kind of unable to, they're super charming and able to endear others to them, but they're not all that capable of forming emotional connections. And it's a very special situation where it happens. So, I think the people who she genuinely loved were very slim. Kirk might find himself, if we ever saw Kirk in the same episode again, I think he might be disappointed at the level to which she was fond of him, because that's pretty much where I felt that relationship was. She I think she was probably fond of Constantine, but really loved Kate. And again, my hope is super, super loved Red, whoever the heck Red turns out.
James Spader's character.
Yeah, James Spader's character.
Well, I call him Red. Red is the guy we met. The other guy is Raymond Reddington. It's very confusing now.
Yeah, I've been calling them Raymond and Red. Like, that's been the best way my brain's been able to connect with
How
it.
about Fitch calling him Ray all the time?
I know. Yeah. We're back to Tom versus Jacob all over again. I don't know what to call these people anymore. Hey,
see,
you.
I knew that Jacob was not his real name because it never took off.
I just thought that
knew
was with fans, honestly, and they just finally swallowed it and left it. But then we had Christopher, and so, but I don't think Christopher was a thing from the get-go. I think that was something they came up with, not from the pilot, is what I mean, you know, because Ryan talked about that he and John, or the Johns, I don't remember if it was both of them or just one of them, but they talked a lot in season 2 when Tom came back about where this could go and how deep they could take it, and that's when they first started battering around for redemption. And so, I mean, I think I would assume that's where his deep backstory started coming out. And that, for me, that's one of my major complaints about killing Tom off, is that they opened up this can of worms of his backstory and then just dropped it. We'll never know now. I mean, and okay, sure, you can say that's how the world works, but I'm watching a television show. I expect my answers if you give me a question.
Yeah, and it's not like they even introduced those questions on Redemption. They use Blacklist episodes to introduce these mysteries. So you can't say, oh, those aren't really our show's mysteries that we're going to wrap up. Those were a spin-off show, so it's not the same thing. It is the same thing. You started it here.
They spent a lot of time setting up Redemption. And then a lot of time setting up his death, and funny thing, he's actually pushing season 6 now. Tom Keene is dead and still pushing the plot. Because Liz is going to get her payback against Red for her husband's death.
Yeah. Although, you think that was actually one of the questions I had. Was Liz always this angry with Red about her husband's death, or just the fact that she found out that Raymond, that he wasn't her actual biological father, has given her this go-ahead to just be enraged and try to destroy him?
I think kind of both. I think it's kind of a combination there, because I think that people, with Liz, people kind of get a pass with her. It's the entire reason Tom didn't tell her about the bones to begin with. I mean, if he had, she would have gone, okay, I just found out he's my dad. Let's take him there, you know. Wait, babe, come back, you know. And so that's why he kept it to himself then, and she just gives relatives a lot of leeway that she shouldn't. And so now it's not there. That's a really good way to put it. That, you know, it gave her permission to, I mean, it's just one more lie on top of the heap of them. And okay, so maybe he never straight up said, I'm your father. Well, yeah, sure. You sure let her believe that.
He didn't deny it.
Well, I mean, and people say, oh, well, he denied it early on. Well, you know, it's Red. It's not like he's ever been straightforward with her. You've got to take everything into consideration. The man that she knows he doesn't give her a straight answer. Yeah. With the exception of, this is about your father, you know?
Yeah, and he promised. He said, the answers will come, I promise. And now he's like, nope, never.
I feel like those should remain buried. Yeah, how's that working out for you, hon?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just feel bad for Dom, because he and Demby are the only one left who know everything.
Yeah.
Because Carla knew and told her to tell him, to tell her about it. And,
all right, here's a question for Evey. Do you think, I don't remember if you responded to this on Tumblr the other day, because I posted this on Tumblr, and I know Tessa and I have discussed it on the podcast before. Do you believe that that either Dom or Dembe are ever in danger if they look like they're going towards telling Liz?
I'm gonna say with about a 85% confidence, because I no longer trust him after Kate, but with an 85% confidence, I'm going to say no. Because, I mean, he's got to draw. There's got to be a line somewhere.
I hope so.
So, Dembe, are you kidding me? Oh.
So, is the 85% for both of them?
Yeah, the 85% is for both of them. I mean, if only because I think he feels like he could. With Dom, I think he feels he could outmaneuver him. I feel at this point. Or simply they just go too far back and it's simply a line too far because he's Katarina's father. And darn it, that should afford him some degree of protection. Of course, Kate should have been afforded some degree of protection given, you know, their 2 decades plus friendship and total devotion, but you know.
Hey, value loyalty above all else. Oh, wait. Unless
you're me and I decide
was that Red? Was that Red's experience? How about all those little stories that we have heard? Are those Reds or are the Raymond Reddingtons?
I would imagine most of them are the Red that we know. I mean, to be able to talk in that, I think it all depends on where it comes back from. Because if he's basically, like he described Tom in season 2, where he becomes the part, if Raymond Reddington died and the Red that we know became him, it depends. If they were super close, if they were partners in the Navy or something along those lines, they were very close brothers, any number of things, then if he knew enough about him, it could blend. It could blend to the fact that he doesn't even know anymore, I mean, not necessarily a psychological break, just you get in so deep, you don't know where those lines are anymore.
Yeah, I think that was one of the Tom Keen ads. After you change identity so many times, you even know who you are.
Yeah. And so, I mean, if he's been living for about 30 years in this role, I mean, that's a long time.
Evie, what do you think?
I think it's really challenging because I was trying to go back and try to, pull up these stories that he tells, and that could give us some sort of an idea. At least if he's even, the difference between, because my two major competing theories are, number one, he's a Russian intelligence agent, and that's where he was coming from. Or number two, he was an American agent, very possibly partnered with the real Raymond Reddington, so that's how he ended up encountering Katerina and messed up in this mess. So I was trying to figure out if there's anything that's indicating to me you're an upbringing of an American upbringing, or something that might cue me to it's ambiguous. So he could clearly have been growing up in a foreign country. But then I realized even that doesn't matter because I'm like, oh, okay, he makes references to having a lawn mowing business with some kid who's drinking pop on the fridge or something like that. Definitely sounds yeah. Sounds like these really sound like he grew up in the United States. They don't, nooner under the benches, the bleachers with a cheerleader. I mean, a lot of his stories sound a lot like he grew up in the United States, but on the other hand, that doesn't necessarily discount him as being a Russian agent, if only because I believe one of the things I firmly believe about Katerina was that Dom was sent to the country and she grew up in the United States despite being the child to at least one KGB agent, like all those toys in the garage from season 3 where we went to Dom's house the first time and we were looking at all those old toys that belonged to Katerina and they all looked like American toys and he's talking about playing with glitter and I'm like, would they be shipping that from Russia to here? So we had all these boxes of our old toys if it was from another country. So I don't know. I can't get a good sense of it. I really can't. Yeah.
How about Rederina, the elephant in the room? Because that's one of those theories that is out there, and I gotta say that there are clues pointing out there, like, oh, you didn't know what I look like, when I was in the street with my head split open.
Oh my God! Don't give that credit.
Yeah. Well, the
clues are there. They are there. That's a thing that is just there. I mean, they could be red herrings, try red whales, but...
Well, the troubling thing is that line from Kate with the Rederina thing. I mean, for the most part, I generally do not believe it just because the conversation Red has with Katerina and Kate May would make that really very strange, as with Dom's behavior towards Red. It would make it really strange to me that the Red is Katerina.
A very bad man.
Yeah, but the big one though for like okay, maybe this isn't as nuts as possible was that potential what certainly seems like a mistake where Kate's talking about you put her in my arms it was like a baby or an infant and you asked me to protect her, and then we get the backstory and that doesn't seem to line up with any male figure. So I mean,
but we also have the story that Red told Liz when she was pregnant with Agnes about how Katerina didn't want her. and that he was the one that sat her down and basically convinced her that it could be a blessing. And, I mean, so he's spoken about Katerina in ways that are very outside of. I mean, that can't really be twisted around to that. I remember, I think it was on the Blacklist Exposed that John Bokenkamp did an interview one time, because Troy Heinrichs over there is the one that started the idea. I have no idea if it started as a legit theory or...
yes.
It did it? Okay. I think it built more than he realized it was ever going to build. But I've heard them goof back and forth about it before. But he posed this to an interview with John one time, and I distinctly remember John going, "Oh, well, I hadn't thought about that, but that'd be interesting." You know, that had never crossed his radar. It took him by such... So if they were to turn around and do that at this point, I'd go, "You owe Troy some money." Now. Like, you need to pay this man what you would pay any writer that came up with a big plot point.
I think that they troll the internet looking for the craziest theories to use as red herrings. Do you remember someone not to be named, she who must not be named, with a theory about an earring piece? Yes. I noticed that after that came out, they started putting focusing on the ear more, and I'm laughing.
Or the redheaded babies.
Yes, and then they were all red, and there were redheads everywhere. And then it's Cynthia Panabaker, that's another theory, believe it or not, that is out there, that Cynthia Panabaker is Katerina Rostova. And it's there.
I've heard it. I just can't. What I was gonna say a few minutes ago before I got on the.
It would be hilarious, though.
No, it would not. But what I was going to say is, if all of this comes down and they wrap the show and they're taking their final bows and Katerina Rostova is dead, you will, I don't care what part of the world you're in, you will hear me screaming and cursing and shaking my fist to the sky. Because, and the moment that I realized Tom was legit dead on the show, I started actually questioning if Katerina was coming back or not. Because to me, that was so interwoven. It's been so carefully written and shot and acted. And it just seemed like such a great side story with it. And so, I mean, it was subtle, but it was still there. And I loved it. I personally very much loved it. And they went out of their way to make a point to the audience in season 4 when Tom's about to go undercover, and she says that, and Liz has been reading the journal, and she says, you know, they met because he was Alexander Kirk was was her mark. Basically, we met in the, you know, my mother met Alexander Kirk in the same way that you and I met. And
Reddington.
Yeah,
Reddington. Excuse me,
Reddington,
not Kirk.
Yeah,
Reddington.
Sorry. It's the heat. The heat is killing my brain. Thank you. That met Reddington the same way. And I'm sitting there at the time, and both of you probably heard me because I was rambling on it. I'm like, yes. And they killed Tom. And
I think I heard some rumbling. Yeah.
It's from Texas, it pushes upwards, you know. But no, and when I finally admitted to myself that they had actually killed Tom, I said, Is Katerina coming back? Or has she just been this long-running joke that they've had in the writing room? Like, look at them, they're back on it. You know, they think Katerina's alive. And if she's not, I'm going to be really disappointed.
But Red has actually never said the words, Katerina is dead.
Yeah, he said your mother is dead.
No. Yeah. No.
Yeah, at the wedding.
Your mother is dead and your father is dead. Yes, is that a real death?
He said Katerina Rostova's dead, didn't he? At the wedding when he was...
Your mother.
Was it
your mother?
But still.
Yeah.
And Katerina Rostova, when on earth do you use somebody's first and last name, especially a woman that you have arguably known quite well?
Red has been known to put Red has been known to put distance between himself and people that he's either upset with or does not want to emotionally connect with. He did it with Agnes, with the baby. He did it with Tom Keene. When he finally gave up on pushing Tom away, that's when he became Tom. You know, the goodnight Tom as he walked out.
Yes, but I get that, but there is very different instances. He uses Katarina Rostova is the woman who committed suicide, was a KGB spy, was a traitor. But notice that when he talks about her to Kate, he doesn't say she died. She said sudden disappearance, or walked away, or you know. I think what is exactly the word after Katerina's sudden. It will come to me. Anyway, and your mother is dead, but Katerina is gone. So Katerina Rostova walked into the ocean. Your mother is dead. Katerina disappeared. So,
Evie, thoughts?
My thoughts were it's always been the same that I believe, at least as of, and I actually think he might still believe it, as of Kate May, he genuinely believed that the woman was gone, if only because of that monologue about suicide where he's trying to process, how could you do that? How could you do that to the people who love you? And him being so upset about her making this choice, and him spending the entire episode trying to stop her from walking into the water, and yet ultimately apparently being unable to do so, and him getting so worked up about it. That's always been my big thing of he genuinely believes not just the idea of the woman, but the actual woman herself is gone. And I had thought with I think it was 408, when they did that scene where he's with Alexander Kirk and he whispers something into his ear that gets Kirk to stop putting the plunger into him. I thought that what he said was Katerina's alive, but I'm actually not 100% on that anymore now that we have this imposter theory. So if he was able to prove to Kirk if what he whispered to him was, I'm not Raymond Reddington, and he was able to back that up, then with some evidence, that could have been that just as easily.
Yeah, the move to Friday nights is an interesting one itself.
It is. And NBC Friday nights, from what I understand, are notorious for being last season sort of slots.
Yeah, that's basically your hospice situation.
Yeah.
When you go there.
Grim would be my exception, although that was earlier. I think I'm hoping that this is going to be, that sounds terrible. I'm hoping this is going to be the last season of The Blacklist. That sounds awful, especially
it does, but they're done. They're out of story. That's the problem. If they had story and they were continuing to write like they did in seasons 1 through 3 and some of 4, go for it. Infinity seasons. I would be all for it. But they're done.
We had episodes this season in which we didn't. I mean, we have like 5 canon, maybe 6 canon facts, of which 4 were in the last episode.
And Jennifer came back, and that's still where we're at.
It's ridiculous. They were really stretching things out a little.
They were. I had a friend that made the comment. She said, basically next season, if they run it like this season, I could watch the lead-in and I could watch the finale and not miss a thing in the middle. She said I could have done that the back half. I said, yep.
Yeah, you could have watched, and that more or less started in season 4, that you could watch the first one and then the last one before each break, and it would be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch 501, then you watch 508, and then 509, and then you jump right into when Jennifer appears. You're good. You haven't missed much.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be how it's written.
No, and they didn't even give us a ton in the finale that we got. I thought, okay, this is going to be like a flashback episode, and we're going to learn so much stuff. And really, what do we get? We got that one thing that undoes.
Everything you learned is gone.
They basically went against what they gave us in season 4 as the finale. They were like, just kidding.
That season finale was a giant eraser. There. You thought you knew something, you don't.
And that's the problem, is they've broken faith with the audience by doing that. When they stretch something out too long, there's a very fine line in a show like this where it's mystery, where you where you have to follow the mystery, you have to keep people intrigued, you have to keep them interested, and yet you don't want to stretch it out too long. I've really been doing a lot of thinking about this recently, and I think the key is coming up with a way to let one mystery lead into the other organically, and John just hasn't done that. He's gotten so stuck on his daddy issue in this. I don't know if it's his daddy issue or someone's daddy issue in this. That's all it's been focused on, when they could have started with that and let it lead into other things organically, slowly, and paced it. And they haven't. They've just... I really do think, I heard an interview with him very early on that said that he pitched his show to, I don't know if it was to Sony or NBC or what have you, and he gave them the ending and they went, stop, you never give us the ending. We want to make sure you can keep this going. And he went, oh, okay, because he'd never showrun before. He doesn't have that. And to be honest, no writer has that to the infinity.
Well, it's very hard to do a show that has so much serialized material and do it in an open-end thing. Because you can do Law and Order basically till the cows come home. But you can't do the same when you have a serialized thing, because you need to know how to pace. And I think the problem is they were pacing. And then they told him, whoa, no, don't do that.
Yes,
then it was like this stretch, like, okay, this is breaking. We got to end. But I think I have a feeling that once they start unraveling, this is going to go pretty quickly.
Maybe. I don't have a whole lot of faith with them right now. But,
well, let's say that this whole thing is a red charade, one of those that he loves. Once you pull one of those threads out, you're going to see the whole thing. I think. That's my opinion. I know Jen doesn't believe in it. What do you believe?
I believe a spotty memory is going to be a real asset when the final bell's toll. As my father mentioned this to me, because he's a casual Blacklist watcher, so he kind of like occasionally goes, Jen, do we know what this is supposed to be? And then I start launching it all my. He's like, never mind. I think this is going to. You're going to not enjoy this as much as I'm going to enjoy this, because I don't remember half of this stuff. So it's going to disappoint you. It's not going to be as neat as you want it to be. But I don't know. My big thing is I really wish they just announce, season 6 is the final season. If they just told us that right now, what a relief, what a weight off, because I'm sure that they can pull this together fairly credibly, maybe not perfectly, but certainly, fairly credibly, if they know with certainty this is the end, and they know it now, versus
I really wish that studios and networks and such gave them that, especially on shows like The Blacklist that are proven shows that have made them a pretty decent dollar on it. I know they don't own all of The Blacklist. I think right now they sit at 50%, but they got that when they renewed it for season 6. But
otherwise they wouldn't have renewed it.
No, I think that was a prerequisite of renewing them. I think that's one of the reasons it took them so long to announce. But regardless of who owns it, who's making money, it's a proven show. It's been there. This is going into the 6th season. Shows that level, I feel like they should have the respect for both the show and for the viewers to say, okay, this is our last round.
Yeah. Yeah, they did it with what just got renewed that was on the bubble for the CW, iZombie, that I love. iZombie is in its 5th season. It's heavy mythology in that particular thing. Not nearly as heavy as Blacklist, but still heavy mythology. And they just said, okay, we're renewing this for the 5th, and then we're out. And I have no problem with that. I mean, I'm not even asking for like a Lost situation where they're saying, we guarantee you 3 more seasons and then the end, which is just, that was insane when that happened. My mind was blown. But I feel like after you hit, say, like after this, you're in a 3rd season. Once you're a 3rd season show, if you get renewed for the 4th season, that should be part of the deal. Like every time we renew you, you're going to know going into your final season, this is your final season.
Right. And I mean, even if it's just like, if the numbers just tank one season, like this year, Blacklist numbers were terrible from what I heard. I mean, even if it's just like, okay, we're giving you a final season, you get Friday nights and you don't start till January. Or you get a half season. But, give some wrap-up time to give the writing team a chance to give back to the viewers that have put so much time into this. Because it is. It's a lot. I mean, especially for the fans like us that spend a lot of time and emotional and intellectual energy on it. It's
a nice way
I've written more like 7 million words on it. That's a lot of words.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how many words I've got on it. A lot.
And none of it is fiction.
Well, some of mine is. A lot of mine is, but that's okay. Well,
still a lot of effort.
Yeah. I mean, I have gone, this is the first time I've ever podcasted. I learned to GIF for this show, to really GIF. I learned to vid make for this show. Several other projects that got me pretty deep in. Yeah. It's a lot of time and effort for this one.
Yeah. Show to commit to. Which, you gotta love it. You gotta love it for that. Again, that's as I'm trying to wrestle with my bitterness about this season. I'm trying to remember, that feeling of season 1, and then season 2 was even better, and then season 3 was even better, and then season 4 when they killed Kaplan, I thought they could kind of recover from it, and then
it just went downhill from there. Okay, here's a question for you.
Your favorite? You don't like? You were bitter when they killed Kaplan?
I was so bitter. Well, actually, that's not true. I wasn't bitter when she committed suicide. I was bitter when he shot Kaplan in the head. I was very bitter about that.
Let me give you a plot of land for eternity. It's like, oh my God, Red.
Yeah, exactly. For doing this terrible thing of trying to do exactly what we agreed all those years ago that you would do in the situation where it was a me or Liz situation. Thank you so much, Raymond Reddington / not Raymond Reddington. You horrible man.
Fred.
I was
fake Red. Fred.
Fred.
Wow. I'm amazed. I remember Kaplan, and I loved Kaplan when I saw her, but I never got warm, fuzzy feelings for her. There was always something about her that got me like, I don't know about you. I mean, you seem loyal and all that. That Deary of her was a little like, I don't know, not so good. And then, she went and said, Deary, we're buried, Deary. And I'm like, yeah.
Like you call people Deary on Tumblr all the time.
Now you know why. If I'm calling you Deary on Tumblr, it's not a good thing.
Okay, Evie, here's a question for you as we wind down. Favorite episode, and if you can, favorite season.
Favorite episode ever? Because I'd have trouble picking a favorite episode for season 5. It's all
yeah. No. Across the 5 seasons.
Oh, that's a tough one. I would probably go with, there are many episodes that I just completely loved, especially in season 3. Season 3 was my absolute favorite season because there were so many great things and all the things that they did with Tom and Liz's relationship and that whole sequence where we had Kate May and then we had the introduction of Dom and then we had the introduction of Alexander Kirk and we got to see Tom do a bunch of spy stuff. Oh, I loved season 3. So season 3, absolutely my favorite, and my favorite episode overall, probably Kate May, because we got so much time with Katerina Rostova, and I love her, like everybody else apparently in the world of the Blacklist. So, yeah.
I would ask
like
Tessa,
Katerina.
but I know your favorite.
You like Katerina.
I love
You don't think she's bizarre and weird and I would not want to be within a 10-foot pole of her?
Oh, she's crazy. I don't deny, like, she's got some issues, but I like my characters with some issues, and that scene that killed me, I love that, I'm very distant, I'm distant from the world, I'm distant from whatever, and I seem very manipulative, and I seem this and I seem that, and then that final scene where she comes back and she hugs she brings Liz back, and she's upset, and then she actually hugs Kate for the first time ever, and you actually get to see the chink in the armor that is this, this super spy woman. And then at the end when she goes, she's crying, she says, "I love you, Kate." I'm like, oh, this is an emotionally stunted...
You believe that I love you, Kate?
Yes, I believe you. I absolutely believe it. Yeah.
That is so funny. It never occurred to me that people would believe her.
Yeah, I actually believe her. That she loves Kate, absolutely I do.
Huh.
I mean, not romantically, but like as her friend, yes. to clarify that, because there was some question of that given Kate's sexual preferences, but I absolutely believe that this was basically the first person I really let get that, one of the few people I let get that close to me into my heart, when as a rule she keeps everyone very far away. So at this moment is the first time I've actually felt comfortable with telling you how you feel, even though that gives you leverage and power over me, and I'm about to disappear and never see you again. So yes, I absolutely believe that I love you is real.
I'm amazed. Did you believe it, Jen?
I go back and forth on if I believe her or not. She's an incredibly manipulative human being. And so I think she knew... I think that Kate cared a great deal about her. I think that I never really had an opinion, a firm opinion on if Kate loved her as, like, she was her only friend. She was her best friend, as she said. Or if it was deeper than that, I don't know. But regardless, I do think Kate loved her, and I think Katerina picked up on that. Yes, she may have used it, but I think she also saw that loyalty there. And I think that could have gotten through to Kat. I think that there could have been a situation in which it got through, and it was a final goodbye. And so I don't think that it would have been on the level that Kate loved Katerina. I'm not sure that, like Evey said earlier, there were a lot of parallels drawn between Tom and Katerina. And where Tom learned to love, I don't think Katerina really ever learned that. Or learned to love in a healthy fashion. I'm not sure Katerina, from what we've seen of her, ever learned that.
That is so interesting. I never believed it. I thought, oh my God, this woman is so manipulative. The only way that she's going to get Kate to let go of her is by telling her that she loves her and she has to go away. And in fact, when Red went and hired her, I actually was looking at her screens, and I thought, you know what, this woman is actually looking for Katerina, and the only reason Red went to her is because she's getting near.
Yeah, but Tessa, you're a psycho, so,
I'm a nice psycho, though.
This is a long-running joke.
Yeah. I didn't believe it at all. I'm amazed. It just, like those things that don't occur to you. Like, yeah, like, really? I mean, okay. That woman was bizarre. I mean, she's just, somebody's telling you, I really find cadavers appealing. Oh, what a great nice, you're perfect nanny for me. I'll be like, get away from my child, as far away. In fact, let me just kill you, just to make sure.
But then who would clean up the mess? The cleaner, who is also the nanny.
I always thought that was what genuinely endeared her to Katerina. Kate's not a normal woman, and Katerina is also not a normal woman by any stretch of the imagination. So, I mean, if Kate didn't have a genuine fondness for her that, again, learned to develop itself, I think whatchamacallit, Kaplan's dead the second Katerina kills that guy, kills that KGB guy in front of her, because she did say, I thought about killing you. I thought about killing you last night to cover my tracks, and I totally believe that Katerina was capable of that. There's a lot of that case out there.
I know.
By the way, but so the fact that she elected not to is a fondness, and then slowly you kind of get a person that you're able to confide in. So that's kind of a big, or confide in as much as Katerina confides in anybody, but knowing that, being able to share that secret with someone. So yeah, and I could be being sentimental about this because that's my inclination. I want to give Katerina the benefit of the doubt because I want her not to be a totally emotionally devoid psycho, and I also want her to have again a genuine relationship with a genuine bond with Red, whoever he may be. But I guess we'll see. I could have been wrong.
Do you think that there's a possibility that the relationship between Red and Katerina kind of mirrors the one between Tom and Gina?
I certainly think I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility because, as I said, one of the ways that they could have found themselves close to each other because I absolutely believe they were close. They could have been, fellow KGB agents, and he's working with, and he gets to work with her on multiple occasions because we did get that indication in, I think it was season 3, where he's talking about how resourceful Katerina is and how she's this and she's that. So clearly,
to work with her.
Yeah, he had to work with her. So, they could have kind of been fellow agents with that kind of respect, and they're in a relationship like you said, like with Gina and Tom, a relationship that's not exactly it's not really a healthy, normal relationship, but it's as close to one as they're able to get to a real relationship because no one else knows them.
So maybe Raymond Reddington was like Liz for her, a guy that she actually connected with.
Yeah, that could be. And then we get to that would be actually very interesting. Although I still have to explain that relationship with Fitch because I'm keep going back to. And maybe it's wrong for me to count in the comics, but that scene where they're in there and they're at the gravesite about my old friend and this and that, and I felt that connection in the show too when Fitch was dying and he's like I couldn't find the code, I couldn't get you out of this, and he actually seems
upset. Yeah.
So I don't know how a KGB agent would have that kind of close relationship with Fitch, but anything's possible.
But the Cabal is a mix of American and Russian agents.
They're no Russian in there. That's a funny thing. They're operative, but you've never seen a Cabal member who's a Russian. You've seen Chinese accents and all that. No Russians.
I'm not good enough with accents to be able to tell the difference. I remember there was like a blonde woman in there.
Well, they tell you. Me neither too, but they tell you like Chinese accent and
oh wow.
Yeah, if you put the closed captioning, they actually tell you.
That would have been handy because I was trying to identify there was a blonde woman in there. I'm like, what kind of accent is that? I mean, it's European.
She looks German.
Anything German? That could be it. Yeah, I'd have to replay that one. But
yeah, it's always been very, very weird to me because Fitch Confederate during the Kirk's bombing was the actual finance minister, I think, who meets his end in the elevator. So it's weird, but I've never seen. I mean, they're like, oh, we're gonna put the Cold War. We're gonna put this. If they had really been members, they didn't need to do a false flag mission to reinstate the Cold War. They would just ask the Russians to do something.
That's true.
Well, I guess depending on how powerful you are. I mean, I think they do have Russian members because didn't they when Liz was being shipped away to the
Vitzen in the tariff service.
Yeah. So, and I think it would be kind of stupid to form us because I have so much experience forming. You understand organizations that run the world. That's my alternate job. But how do you form an organization that's supposed to be controlling the world if you don't include some important members from the superpowers of the time? So clearly,
unless Fitch was a Russian agent.
Certainly. What the heck? Who knows?
Everybody's a secret Russian agent. That's the real twist.
Well, no, I think that, honestly, Katerina is not a KGB agent. I think that she was a CIA agent pretending to
Everybody
be a KGB.
else, though. Even Coop.
I know.
Let's make Cooper secret Russian.
Yeah.
Kidding.
I'm
being facetious here.
Wrestler. He's secret.
I have heard that one, that Wrestler's a secret agent. And I'm going, our Boy Scout? No.
The guy was having like heart attacks just being the little bitch of Prescott, and you're making him into a secret agent. The guy couldn't sleep.
Yeah,
I think that he
Rex.
aged. He got like gray hair instead of that.
Oh, no, he's ginger. He'll never gray.
You know, I can go back to my favorite season 5 episode. You know what? That was it. Because of that conversation Wrestler has with Red in the car about the way you undo a mistake is by owning up to it and facing the consequences. And Red's like, no, I think the way you do it is you keep covering things up again and again and again. I think that's the right way to handle this. You don't seem to understand, Wrestler.
And Wrestler's just like, what?
I love that episode. No, because I was happy that Wrestler reclaimed his character.
Yeah. I still say one of my favorite scenes between him and Prescott. I'm trying to remember when it was, but one of the members of the writing team that's on Tumblr had made some sort of comment about it. She said, wait until tonight's episode. Some of you will be shipping this, or something like that. And I'm like, what?
Huh?
And then they had that scene where Prescott just bitch slaps him. And Wrestler comes up with a gun, and I went, that's what she was talking about. I know how shipping works. I know how some people roll. I just remember.
That just flew so far above my head.
I think we actually talked about on the podcast that particular podcast, and you were just like, I don't understand. I'm like, I can't explain this to you, but yes, she's not wrong.
It's the Kylo Ren Hux relationship. Clearly,
You know what? I won't touch any of those ships with a 10-foot pole from what I've seen on Tumblr. That fandom terrifies. They make the Blacklist fandom look like we sit around singing Kumbaya. How can we love each other more? Star Wars fandom is terrifying.
Completely off the podcast. Did you see my? Oh no, because I haven't published it. I have the poster for the season 6. By the way, Jen saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
remember the poster
yes.
I sent you? It's a cartoon of two girls fighting, like going at each other, and one has Lissington on the T-shirt, and the other one has Red Arena.
Okay. Hey, I'm not in that fight. We're not in that fight anymore. Can we I guess that's like if there's a silver lining to this cloud that was season 5, we're just not. No one's going to take a shot at us anymore.
That's not actually accurate.
It's not accurate? They're not done with us yet?
They're never going to be done with us.
Okay.
I think I've just got I've got all the antis blocked to Kingdom Come on Tumblr. And so I haven't gotten any, total hate mail. I actually got some really nice things from people that hated Tom right after 508. Because I think I just had everybody that was rude blocked. But I had some people that just despised him, that we had just passing sort of, acquaintanceships. And I got a couple of them that was like, listen, you know how I feel about him, but I am so sorry for you right now. I'm like, you're such a nice person. Thank you. And then I just stopped answering everything and went into my hole for a while. I think those are still back in my drafts.
I honestly tell you that we haven't finished hearing everything about Tom.
No, because they can still.
I see the holes.
They can still use him without actually paying the actor because they're just going to key in on this for another season.
I honestly think that he's going to go back.
I'm bitter.
In the last episode, honestly.
I'm hella bitter. If they do, if they swing it, if they can do it, I will be very happy. I won't be happy with the writing necessarily, but it won't matter. My enthusiasm for Tom coming back and Liz getting her happy ending and the Keen's family being okay will trump anything terrible.
Before we finish this podcast part, I want to hear your opinion on the tombside scene. Those 3 seconds where you thought that he wasn't dead.
Oh, I didn't allow myself those 3 seconds.
Or did you not have it? Because even I had that kickstart reaction of, they did the thing. Of course they didn't do the thing. Stop it, Jen. Don't hate
No,
yourself.
I'm like, no, it's all a cruel lie. I know this to be true in my heart. This is a cruel lie. I know about New Amsterdam. You can't fool me. You can't play my emotions anymore. So
They did mine.
Well, there you go. You're not allowed yourself to be as jaded and bitter and destroyed clearly as I am. I'm like, oh, actually, I saw him show up. I'm like, oh, show. I have some 4-letter words for you right now.
I've been so deep in my AU that sometimes I manage to forget canon. It's so nice.
Yes, the other day you did. You were like, didn't that happen? No, that was in one
wait,
of
that
your
was breathe
theories.
again. Sorry.
Sorry. We rewrite the stars. We can.
There is a reason why I just generally don't read fiction. Is that because as a theorist, it's very messy. I mean, I got problems now because I'm reading this one, but I figure I got until January, so I can go back to canon.
Yeah.
It'll be done by January. Don't worry.
The trouble with writing as slowly as I do, which is like I get really into it for like a stretch of time, like 3 weeks, and then I'm like, I'm gonna read now. I'm gonna just read a bunch of books and not write anything for months on end, and yeah, that's
I would go crazy. I would lose my mind. I write. I'm either writing or plot pointing or something with a story every day. If I'm not, there's something wrong. Like, you probably need to take me to the doctor and get me checked out.
No, I go through strings with what I'm obsessed with. So I might be like marathoning television shows for, as my extracurricular activity for 5 hours a day, or I'm writing for 5 hours a day for a couple of days in a row, and then I'm reading for 5 hours a day. There's no mix, there's no measure, there's no consistent anything. I have my DVR right now is so
You're an extremist person then.
Yeah, I'm kind of all or nothing binge whatever it is I'm binging on, be it writing or whatever. Although I'm about to have a lot of extra time on my hands in about a month. Hurrah! School is letting out. Yes. So,
Well,
I work it up. Cool. So summer.
You know that there will be a few of us that will be hoping and praying for.
I will be able to. I will be able to. Yeah, I will be able to do that. I will be able to reinvest in my. Although God knows how I'll ever pick up lines again. My gosh, after this finale, and just like pretend that it didn't happen, I guess would be my only option.
That's what I did with the redemption quote unquote wrap up in my current one. I just ignored it because when we're over an hour at this point in recording.
Yeah,
but I need to
go and eat because I'm about to start eating the microphone.
Can I ask her one more question? One more?
Sure, go.
The redemption wrap up. What were your thoughts?
Screaming at the top of my lungs. They don't have that relationship. That's not them. That's like, I can understand. I have to be clear, zero objection with Agnes going with Grandma Hargrave there, because I think that's a good choice. Because that woman she's not a field agent anymore. She's got tons of money. She's totally, ruthless, would be ruthless in protecting that kid. She's a fabulous choice. But you don't get to go from 0 to 60 on that relationship without some sort of something. They can not like each other and still have this handoff happen, and that's what should have happened. Like, I haven't forgiven you, just FYI, I haven't forgiven you for shooting up my wedding, for getting that innocent woman killed, and for torturing my husband. But you're the best choice to protect my daughter at this point. So, here's Agnes. This whole thing, and Tom just loved you so much, and you got through all your issues together, and you testified against his father.
Basically, you got an extra season of redemption in about 40 words.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so angry, angry.
That's season 2 of redemption right there.
Yeah.
When?
Yeah.
There were not there's not enough time unless there was a year in there, but the kid was still the same.
Yeah. That was unacceptable.
Yeah.
To them to leave it. If that was their attempt at wrapping it up, they should have just said nothing at all and seeing if they got this season and then spend some actual time on it.
Yeah.
So, but
It
I
was
wouldn't object
embarrassing.
I wouldn't object to Scotty coming
A
back.
comic would have been fine. How about just doing a comic?
And
A
it
comic
was a
book on redemption.
It was a redemption writer that did it too.
Ooh,
Yep.
yeah. Be nice.
It was not good.
Well, to me, what it felt like this was the season 2 of Redemption that we didn't get, and we got it in 40 words. That's what happened in the season 2.
Yeah, but 40 words and the month in between in which he was also investigating the bones. It just there was no time for it. It was so frustrating.
Yeah, I really do. I liked the graphic novel. That would be if there's any justice in the world / they felt that they could make money off of us by this, which I certainly did. I let them exploit me on this particular issue. If they could they could do another series of the Blacklist comic, and they just cover what supposedly happened, and they cover Tom's mysteries, and they wrap it up that way off the Blacklist show screen, I would be much more at peace. I wouldn't be fully at peace because Tom would still be dead, but I would be much more at peace with.
Even a novel will do. A little novel will do. They did those 2 in which they were so completely out of character. There you go.
Beekeeper.
You're probably finished too, in I'm done. It's a month. Here it is.
All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to cover?
No, I've said my piece and then some.
But that's the end of this episode. You can catch us on YouTube and on SoundCloud and iTunes, and you can talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Until next time.
And Evey, you want to say how they can reach you if they want to read more of your theories and your fiction?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on Tumblr at Blacklister214. And if you have a lot of patience with a writer who is a procrastinator, you can read my fiction over on fanfiction.net under the screen name Evey Edge.
And good things are worth the wait. Her writing is definitely worth the wait. She is the writer that dragged me full into the Blacklist. I started reading her fan fiction. And so she was also one of the first theorists I started talking to and said, talk to me about this person and this stuff happening.
Yeah, Blacklister was the one who wrote to me the definite thing on the I'm your father, you're my daughter, but I'm not your father. So I still hold by what you wrote, and I am not fooled by the imposter. So there.
I would so like to have been right and for you to be right now. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
We'll find out whenever this thing ends. And until then.
All right. Until next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.